Hi, this is Mark Chandik, and welcome to another edition of Prosperity Perspective. Today I'm going to outline a short and concise process for you to exit your business. Exit planning, also known as succession planning, is a timely topic because so many successful entrepreneurial baby boomers are at the age of retirement and they want to cash in on their life's work. I'm going to take you through a 5-part process that will help you have a successful and well-timed outcome. Let's start with a few facts about transferring small and mid-sized closely held businesses. First, many of these companies were started by one or more like-minded entrepreneurs. I like to call them mavericks because oftentimes with little education and capital, they have created a highly successful business. Second, baby boomers that started the companies often don't share their plans with their children or other key people in their business. This is in part because their generation was one of focusing on privacy and because, frankly, they don't have a plan in place. And third, while you might think that most business sales and transfers involve an outside third-party buyer, the fact of the matter is that most of the transactions are transfers to insiders, in other words, family members and key employees. In my opinion, you can't start early enough. To have a successful transfer requires comprehensive planning and the input of many stakeholders. Family members, CPAs, attorneys, and other professionals all need to be brought into the process to ensure the best possible outcome. This process can be overwhelming, which is why many people never start. So identifying and beginning to work on step 1 is vitally important. So what is step 1? Step 1 is for the exiting owner or owners to thoroughly understand how much capital they need to extract from a business. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes, a closely held business represents the largest single financial asset in someone's net worth. While the value of the company is important, what may be more important is the cash flow that is generating to the owners. In other words, what kind of lifestyle is that company providing for the owners? Most owners want to continue the cash flow and lifestyle for as long as possible. In my opinion, therefore, the first step is for each owner to undergo a comprehensive financial planning process to determine what amount of after-tax sales proceeds are necessary in order to kick off the same cash flow that they were taking before the sale. For example, if an owner was comfortable taking $100,000 per year from their company in the form of wages and or profit distributions, and they would like to keep that $100,000 continuing, then they will need approximately $2 million in a lump sum, earning 5% per year, to replace that income stream. That tells me and the owner that they need to extract at least $2 million from the sale of their business. Now, their business may be worth much more than that, but minimally, in order for the owner to have a successful retirement, they need to pull out at least $2 million on an after-tax basis. This is a very important number to know because oftentimes when we transfer to insiders, we provide discounts to them and we don't want to be too generous so that we jeopardize our income stream. Once your financial plan is complete and it tells you the minimum amount required that you need to pull from the sale of your business, then you can move on to step 2. Step 2 is identifying who the most likely buyers will be. Will you be putting up your business for sale in the open market and hire a business broker, or will you structure a transaction internally with family and employees? This is an important inflection point because what is necessary to sell to a third party is not necessarily what is needed for an internal transfer. If you decide to sell your business through a business broker, then that professional will most likely request that you pay for a business appraisal and that you sign an agreement with the broker outlining a fee or commission upon the successful sale of the business. A third-party appraisal typically provides 5 or more valuation methodologies and will give you a range of values from which to work. If you're thinking that you'll transfer to insiders, then you'll face one large obstacle, and that is insiders typically don't have the capital necessary to buy your business. You're going to have to act as the bank. For example, if you decide to transfer ownership to family members or key employees over time, let's say 20% per year for 5 years, and the purchase price will be paid from the buyers making installment payments, then where does the money come from? Well, once you sell 20% the first year, then your new partners will be entitled to 20% of the profits, and they'll utilize that cash flow to make the installment payments. Rarely do insiders have the ability to make these payments without receiving profits from the company. Even though you as the business owner will be internally financing your own buyout, you should always look for the insiders to have some skin in the game. That means that they take some of their own capital and put it into the pot. Typically, this can be in the form of them borrowing against their primary residence and pulling out equity, or cashing in an investment portfolio, or even borrowing against their 401k. It can also mean that they will forego bonuses and apply those bonuses towards the purchase payment. In other words, they're going to put some of their hard-earned net worth on the table. If they are unwilling to do that, then I would say they're not really going to be a good fit for a business transfer. In my experience, even with transfers to insiders, you'll still need to get a third-party business valuation completed. You'll need to demonstrate that the purchase price is based on real numbers. If you plan on discounting the price, then that will be demonstrated as well. The third step in the process is to consider the tax consequences of the transaction, specifically reducing the problem of double taxation on purchase payments. Remember the example of 20% being transferred and using the profits to make those payments? The buying party will pay income tax on the profits, and they'll turn around and make a purchase payment which will be taxed a second time as income to the seller. So it is very inefficient from a tax perspective. The goal in this step is to be creative in moving as much of the value of the company in forms of cash flow that are not installment payments. These can include charging the highest defensible lease payment on a building that you may own that houses the company, paying you consulting fees post-retirement, establishing a deferred compensation plan, or even gifting stock. Each one of these should be reviewed in order to transfer the amount needed to the seller, but with the least possible tax drag. I think it's appropriate at this juncture to mention a type of transfer that's talked about quite a bit, but isn't implemented all that often because the circumstances need to be unique. I'm talking about an ESOP transaction, an employee stock ownership plan. An ESOP is a type of qualified retirement plan that owns only one asset, and that's your company's stock. In this design, an exiting owner can sell all or a portion of his interest to an ESOP and receive payments over time. There are significant tax advantages to this plan design. However, with that comes high transaction costs, high ongoing administrative fees, and because it's a qualified plan, anti-discrimination rules apply. There are specialists that do only ESOP work, and my recommendation is to speak with an expert to determine if this strategy might make sense for your company. Step 4 includes implementation details. For example, basic legal documents like a purchase and sale agreement will need to be drafted and agreed upon by all parties. If you're a contractor or a professional services company, then appropriate licenses will need to be established and transferred. Other agreements that may have to be drafted include a revised lease agreement for buildings or equipment, consulting and post-retirement benefit agreements, and a deferred compensation agreement if that's part of the plan. You'll need to address current banking arrangements that may require personal guarantees, and again, if you're a contractor, your bonding company will want to understand the transfer plan in order to continue advancing bonding. Finally, you'll need to announce the sale and transfer to your employees and other key stakeholders. Step 5 in the process is addressing the risk management portion of the transaction. What do I mean by that? These are the big things that can go wrong that can derail a plan. The first thing that comes to mind is that if possible, life insurance should be purchased on both the outgoing owner as well as the incoming owner. If the seller dies during the installment period, then the life insurance can be used to make all final installment payments in one lump sum to the seller's spouse or heirs. Life insurance on the buyers would have two purposes. First, it can serve as key man insurance so that lost earnings and profits in the company might be shored up if there's an untimely death. Second, is that the insurance will act as the funding source for the buy-sell agreement between those two partners. Most business owners do not want to do business with a deceased partner, spouse, or family. So life insurance assures that the dollars will be there to buy out the deceased partner's interest. The purchase and sale agreement will include language that outlines under what circumstances the buyers are in default and allows the seller to come back in to run the business. So there you have it, a 5-step process that will allow you to successfully transfer your business. In my opinion, you should begin the process at least 3 years prior to your exit. In addition, you should consider hiring a professional that specializes in helping small businesses transfer to others. In other words, someone who will act as a quarterback and understand your unique requirements about a transfer, and then bring all the tools to bear so that your vision is accomplished. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Prosperity Perspective. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons below if you want to see more videos like this. If you're interested in a free copy of my book, please click the link in the description, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to my email, also found in the description below. This is Mark Chandik, and I'll see you on the next edition of The Prosperity Perspective.